What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Rocco and Ryan MMA Show. And today we have a special guest, Tyson Chartier, in the house as these guys are getting ready for UFC 250 and weigh-ins are tomorrow. How's everything going, guys?
It's going good. It's going good.
Going great. A little hot out here, but nothing to complain about.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, I follow both you guys on Instagram and Twitter. It seems like you guys really have had an amazing past couple weeks down there in Vegas, especially just like if you look at it as like bonding and just friendship. I mean, this must be a time that you'll always remember.
Yeah, no doubt. It's all about just having these positive vibes. And you know, I miss Tyson. You know, he's my biggest comer.
So, yeah, no, it's good. It's these fight weeks are always memorable. I always say to the guys, like, you know, 20 years from now, we're not necessarily going to be talking about the wins and the losses. We're going to be talking about these funny stories that never make it on camera. So it's good. You try to cherish these weeks.
Is this the longest the two of you have been out there prior to a fight in your career? Because it's been almost 2 weeks now.
Yeah, it's definitely the longest for me.
Yeah, I've come out like a few days early, but never a whole week early.
Yeah. What's the most memorable part so far leading up to the fight? I know you guys have gone on a lot of hikes. Tyson, didn't you get like lost or hurt, or you had to get carried out or something? Tell me about that.
I'm not a big risk taker, and they go down this little freaking mountain that has no steps, and I was nervous, so they carried me down, so that was nice.
That's probably the best moment of it. But there's a lot of good ones. We got all kinds of, you know, Tyson's definitely a lot more reserved than me and Brock, so it makes a very interesting and dynamic and funny, and it's just literally no joke, my abs were sore from laughing so hard for about 3 days there in a row.
And you got plenty of time in the hot tub, which Tyson required leading up to this fight, right?
This damn hot tub. We went in every night because he was so adamant on this hot tub, and I was just trying to get my tan. You know, I'm trying to get this tan on.
I think it's pretty tan too.
Yeah, you kind of look this. I think it must be the lighting in here.
I like it.
Well, one thing's for certain, both of you have more color than me being stuck up here in the Northeast, so you look good. Before we dive into the weigh-ins tomorrow and this fight card, I do want to recap at least the main event from last weekend's card. Tyron Woodley lost again, this time to maybe the best guy in the division outside of Kamaru Usman, Gilbert Burns. What's both of your takeaway from that fight?
Yeah, obviously, I thought that Woodley would be a bad matchup for Burns. You know, I just thought it was not the greatest matchup for him, but he pushed forward throughout the whole fight, absolutely dominated the fight. I think Woodley needs to reevaluate his life and his training and probably his surround
system,
his support system. So I think he's got to evaluate his support system. I think he, for some reason, I think he's got too many yes men around him. I think he's got too many people just telling him that he's doing everything the right way, and that he needs someone that's gonna push him back to what he is, you know, as a fighter. I think that he's too comfortable with where he's at, and you can tell even the way he's fighting that hunger and drive's not there anymore.
Mm-hmm. And of course, when I say maybe the best guy in the division, I'm talking about rankings wise. Okay, I'm not talking about overall, because we know you're coming, Rocco, for that #1 spot. So just to clarify there. Now, as far as the weigh-ins go, that is tomorrow. What time is that going to be? West Coast time.
9 o'clock West.
9 o'clock West.
9 to 11 open weigh-ins, and then 11 o'clock they face off.
Okay. What's your weight at right now? How much left do you have to go?
I woke up like, 7 over, 8 over, 18 over?
25. You know, I'm walking at 200. It's going to be good.
I'll probably have to lose about 10 pounds from tonight.
10 pounds. Okay, well, that's not too bad. What is the biggest thing that the both of you guys look for during weigh-ins? Are you one of those guys that body language or eye contact, does that even come into the factor or equation at this point, or do you guys not even care?
I've never been a big, proponent of thinking that anything that happens with the weigh-ins affect the fight. I know everybody's different. Some people kind of, you know, I've had old coaches that have said, look them in the eye and steal their soul. And then I've always just been kind of like, that's not the fight. You know, the fight is on Saturday night. Weigh-ins is just a formality tomorrow. I try not to read too much into anything that happens. Generally, any antics from the other end, I view it as weakness rather than dominance. But everybody's got their own opinion on that, but as a coach, I don't put too much stock into any of it.
Mm-hmm. I think sometimes it could be just that point if you're a talker, that to start just putting more doubts, because every fighter has doubts, going into a fight. You have these minor doubts, but then the part is overcoming those doubts and really believing in what you've done throughout the camp that is there. So if you have any doubts in your camp and you start, and like I like to say stuff normally at weigh-ins a little bit to them, but you start putting more doubt in their brain a little bit, and anything to add into the doubt is obviously, but I always figure I'm probably gonna be a smaller guy at 170, so I just go in there as that I'm the best fighter in the world, and I'm gonna go out there, and tomorrow night it's those first few minutes that dictate the whole fight.
Now, Tyson, obviously, this is Rocco's, the biggest fight of his career to this point, and probably the biggest name he's fought in Neil Magny, a guy that's been inside the top 10 for a good portion of his career. How has he looked so far in camp? What kind of a fighter are we going to see come fight night on Saturday?
I think the biggest thing I've seen over the last 15 weeks with all the uncertainty is that he just put his head down and he focused on training and getting better, and he didn't care what the name was. He wanted a name that could bring some value and climb him in the rankings. But at the end of the day, he was willing to fight anybody. He was willing to fight at 185. He was willing to fight on 5 days' notice if he had to for, a late replacement. So I just seen a focused, I don't give a shit version of Rocco that's coming in. And finally he got gifted at the end. He got that name that he'd been wanting for a couple of years where, all right, you beat him. Now all the other welterweights, we have another top 15 contender here that's going to start climbing the rankings. So I think the biggest thing I've seen, obviously Tony's strong. He's a great fighter, but the only times I've ever seen Tony struggle is when he wasn't in a good place mentally, against the, in the Maya fight. And this is the best I've ever seen him mentally. He feels strong, obviously, on the mats, but the mental side of it, the support system he has around him, I just think he's in a really good place mentally and physically, and they're kind of meeting at the right time.
Now, obviously, Rocco, this is the last fight on your contract. You've been talking about it a lot. You've had a number of interviews leading up to this fight. Are you even processing this going into the fight, or is this something that, regardless of what happens, whatever the outcome is, you're going to just figure out what's the next move after the fight's all said and done?
No, obviously, I put so much pressure on myself to win every fight. Every fight means the world to me. So I don't think it's added pressure. It's just added motivation. Sometimes if you're ever any doubt that starts to step in your brain ever, it's easy to stomp it out by being like, no, this is it, man. This is everything that you've worked for has come to this moment. And I don't think this is the end, So in my heart and in my brain, I truly believe that I've done everything the right way to lead to this moment, and it's my time.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel that you're the underdog leading into this fight? I mean, a small underdog at that, but as far as Vegas goes, it's you still are the underdog. Does that give you a little added motivation?
No, I mean, I think that I was actually shocked that it was as close in the line as it was, because I feel like I'm one of those more underrated fighters there are, but I definitely, it makes you feel like there is some respect on your name, and it just gives you that opportunity to really show the whole world that, that I'm for real, that I'm here to really make a stamp here in this division, and that I could really make a run, towards the end of 2020 and 2021. So I'm excited. It just excites me to know that you're there, you have this opportunity, and versus one of the top welterweights in the world that has fought multiple world champs, and really just know that this is where I belong.
For Cage Side Press, because I freelance for them, and we do our predictions, and I was looking at everyone's predictions leading up to UFC 250. I'm the only one so far that has you winning, which blows my mind. I feel like we talked earlier, Mike Brown said this is going to be your coming out party here at UFC 250. Do you truly feel like this is the time where the MMA world, the hardcore fans know who you are, but as far as the casuals go, this is where you're going to make your announcement like, hey, I'm here and I'm making a run at 170?
Yeah, I mean, I just hope that I don't just put him away within 30 seconds where people think it's a fluke or something, So maybe this goes to the second round and I put him away then, and that so everyone can really see oh wow, fucking Tony's for real. But obviously a win's a win. But I think that for sure this is my opportunity, and it's exact like Tyson was saying. This is what for the last 14, 15 weeks that I've been ready to fight anyone and hoping for a name like this. And it just seems like everything happened for a reason. And that's why, you know, if you take the right steps and you're ready for these moments, that it's setting up to be a special night.
Tyson, why do you feel like people or some people are sleeping on Rocco? Is it just the fact that he hasn't had the matchups to get in there and prove himself up to this point?
I think it's a couple of things. I think towards the tail end of him being at 155, the whole camp was just such a weight cut, and it, you know, kind of made him fight a little bit more conservative than he probably wanted, because he was worried about gassing with the, you know, all the weight he was cutting. So it kind of, you know, that was a little bit of a negative on him. And then, you know, he was trying to be, you know, the word was he wasn't an exciting fighter, so he's trying to keep fights standing and knock people up, but he was, you know, evolving as a striker, but he was still winning those fights. And then, you know, once he got to 170, it was, you know, he's been, other than the one fight, you know, a lot of times he's kind of buried on the prelims, and, you know, he hasn't always been the best with social media either. He's getting better with that. So I think it's just a bunch of different things coming together at the right time. Now he's taking the social media a little bit more serious and trying to get himself out there, you know, doing stuff like this and obviously posting more. And then, you know, this is the big opportunity here in this. He's on the main card of UFC 250, which is an historic event. Got a captive audience with everybody being quarantined at home for the most part. So I think this is a perfect night, like Mike Brown said, for a coming out party. It's, you know, the stars are all aligning for him. He's got the at-bat now. Now he just has to hit the home run.
Last weekend, I saw Vince Morales get blasted by leg kicks, ultimately got finished, and I kept thinking to myself, man, it wouldn't surprise me to see Rocco implement a similar strategy against Neil Magny. Your you know, kicks are phenomenal. Is that something where you feel like you're going to be able to maybe exploit him, maybe ding him and hurt him early on, and ultimately get a finish?
Yeah, for sure. I think that obviously I'm going to always try to eat up that lead leg, and I'll be launching those things at every chance I can get. So, I mean, if he's going to leave that leg there, I'm going to take it. And, you know, you guys have seen from past fights, I'll take a punch for that leg kick. So, I mean, he's going to be – I got a feeling that he's going to obviously try to game plan for that, but timing beats that. So, I think that just with the right timing, I'm going to be launching those things. I'm going to be trying to take that leg out.
Smaller cage, too. A lot of people feel like this might play into your advantage. A lot of people feel like you have a better skill set on the ground here over Neil Magny. Is that where you'd like to get this fight? Do you feel like, you know, as far as winning, you know, it'd be better for you to get the fight to the ground, or does that matter?
I don't think it really matters. I truly think that I can beat him on the feet. I think, obviously, I do think that I'm better than him on the ground as well. So, I mean, it's just like every fight where I kind of play out the fight and see where the fight goes. But it all starts with, you know, everything starts standing. So I'm going to be trying to land damage on the feet. And then if we get in the grappling exchanges, I have to win those exchanges. And I think that it all starts with just eating that leg up and going from there.
Mm-hmm. Tyson, where do you feel like Rocco's biggest advantage in this fight is?
I mean, obviously, you know, one of Neil's weaknesses is leg kicks, and that's one of Tony's offensive strengths on the feet. I think we have a significant advantage on the ground, especially if we're on top. But I really feel like, you know, Tony's been working on having a more well-rounded skill set. You know, he does have power in his hands. People just haven't seen it yet. So I think if Neil keys on the leg kicks too much, he's going to start getting hit with the hands, and then he's going to be, and he'll start reaching. He's going to be worried with the hands. Oh shit, I think this kid had power, and then he's going to get his leg chewed up, and then he's going to be reaching for leg kicks, get hit in the face. The next thing you know, he's on his ass. So it's like, you know, Tony just has to go out there and be Tony rather than letting Neil dictate the pace. And as long as he does that, I think it's a long night for Neil.
When you talk Neil Magny, everyone talks about that long reach. It's almost John Jones-like at 170. What's the game plan as far as combating that to really keep that at bay and not allow him to utilize it?
Yeah, well, I think that I use my reach and my range very well. You know, I think that at range, I feel confident versus, you know, anybody just fighting straight at range there. So I think that obviously I don't think he uses his range as good as I use my range. So I think it'll probably seem like a similar body type once we're in there striking. And at that point, it just comes down to better technique. And I think that my technique on the feet is definitely more crisp. I think that I'm a little bit more technical on the feet. I think that he's got a little bit more output. And really, it's just about using the right angles, using the right footwork, and just implementing my game plan will negate all his strengths.
How do you feel about fighting in an empty arena in a sense? Obviously, it's going to be on pay-per-view, ESPN Plus. The whole world's going to be watching. As Tyson said earlier, you've got a captive audience right here. How do you feel that's going to affect you going in there?
I honestly think it's going to help out a lot. I was thinking about it a little bit where I fought first on multiple UFC cards, so it's not going to be. But you still wouldn't be able to hear the corner as good as you would think. Like now, I think that it's going to play in my favor because I got full belief in my cornerman with Tyson, Brock, and Jakal with our game plan where I'm going to hear everything. And I feel like when I'm hearing stuff that I'm able to listen very well, and then when you have true belief in your cornerman that their only goal is for you to win and they don't care about anything else, that's a thing that I know that they'll never say anything that they don't see, or they're not trying to make it make anything more difficult. They're trying to have the easiest path to victory, and it's just that belief system in your team that I think it's just going to be a benefit for me to hear everything.
Mm-hmm. Tyson, what does a finish win do for Rocco at 170 versus a decision win? How much will he climb the ranks if he gets a finish versus a decision?
Well, I think there's two things. It's like you got to look at a finish over someone like Neil Magny, who's got wins over like, ex-champions like, Johnny Hendricks and Calvin Gastelum, Condit. Like he's got really good wins. So a win over him, it puts you in that discussion. A finish over him puts you in that discussion of like, okay, like he just finished Neil Magny. This guy's for real at 170. And I especially parlaying off of what Gilbert Burns has just been doing, making a run at 170. Now I think they're starting to look at those 55ers coming up as real contenders. And then you look at the business side of it. It's the last fight of his contract. You get a nice win, an exciting, win over Neil Magny puts you in a good spot. An exciting finish over Neil Magny probably gets you more money. So I think, it's just his to earn.
So prediction time, fellas. I know you clearly feel like you're going to get the victory here. A lot of people that do believe you're going to win think it's going to be a decision. Do you feel like that's what's going to happen, or do you see yourself getting a finish here over a durable Magny?
No, I could easily see a finish. I could see me, maybe dropping him from the feet and then coming on top and submitting him. And I think that's probably what is going to transpire.
Is that what you see too, Tyson?
Yeah, I think it's similar. Like I really think once he feels, Neil doesn't really use his length as well as he could. He's long until he gets hit, and then he turns into kind of a short fighter and he wants to clinch. I think Tony's going to put hands on him, maybe kill that leg a little bit. And I think you're going to see some panic wrestling out of Neil. And, the last thing you want to do is shoot on Tony Martin.
Well, I can't wait for this fight, guys. Saturday.
Rocco Martin. Tony defends his takedowns better than Rocco.
Fair enough. Well, I tell you, I can't wait for Saturday night. I got everything ready. I got my pineapple salsa. I'm going to order a pizza and camp out right in front of the big screen TV and watch these fights. Have you never had it, the Newman's pineapple salsa?
Hey, listen, I don't mess around with pineapple. And I don't know about this fruit and savory stuff. I don't even know what's fruit on like pizza. You eat that pineapple pizza?
Man, I'll eat anything on pizza. Pizza's pizza. It's all good.
Did you ask the fiance for permission to watch the fights?
Yeah, congrats to you, by the way.
It's different now. Now she's the boss.
Yeah, well, she's always been the boss, but when it's fight night or the Patriots are playing, there's no questioning where I'm going to be and what I'm going to be doing. So I do want to run down just this main card and get some picks from the both of you because Rocco, as we move forward with the show, I want to keep our tally to see who has more right and who has more wrong. Let's start with O'Malley and Wineland. Who do you see winning that one?
Sean O'Malley, I think, wins. I think that obviously the UFC is setting him up to be, I don't want to say an easy route to the title, but they're definitely trying to protect him and make him into a star, where I see where they're trying to give him the easiest route to the title. And so they definitely want him to win. So I would definitely say he's going to win this fight.
I agree with you. Do you feel the same way, Tyson?
I think if I hadn't seen Wineland's last fight, he came out against another young prospect that people kind of had hype behind, and he still showed that he's carrying that power and that he's still mentally there. He's not just kind of fighting for money. With those older guys that have been in the rankings for a while and then they're kind of out and you see him fight once a year, you're not really sure where they're at. But he came out that last fight and then he can still bang. So O'Malley, his last fight he looked flawless, but when he fought like Andre, it was pretty back and forth. Andre landed some good shots. I don't think you can take those shots from someone like Wyland. So I'm going to choose Eddie.
Okay. Well, I'm sure are in agreement. Rocco Martin gets past Neil Magny. Let's talk about Sandhagen and Sterling. I mean, I can't wait for this fight. A couple of dynamic fighters. A lot of people feel like it could be fight of the night. What do you guys think?
Or are you gonna drop your prediction on us first? I feel like if you always lead with us, then I gotta feel like I don't know what you're picking over here.
Sure.
I can sway your decision.
Yeah, okay. I'm actually leaning towards Sandhagen. As much as I love Sterling, I feel like he's a stud. I think Sandhagen is one of those guys that people don't really know just how good he really is. He's beaten some good contenders, but Sterling is clearly the biggest name thus far. I think another guy where it could be a coming out party. People are going to really start to know that Sandhagen is a contender in the division. I'm picking him.
Yeah, I think if Sandhagen won that fight, that he definitely should be probably in that title contention. But that maybe fight for that title, because I think that Sterling should be fighting for the title right now. So I definitely lean towards Sterling. Watching that fight with Pedro, I mean, the guy opened up and threw like 40, 50 kicks around. It seemed like. So I was like, that kicks take energy. You know what I mean? So he's got great cardio. He doesn't get in brawls. You know what I mean? And he's very methodical in what he does. And he's also can wrestle really well. So I'm going to lean towards Sterling on this one.
Tyson?
Yeah, I picked Sterling too. I think Sandhagen, he beat a Sun Tzu and Lineker, right? And,
That's right.
Those are good wins, but those are both guys. Sun Tzu's kind of at the tail end. He's a vet, and then Lineker, same thing. He was like not mentally there the last few fights, and so I think Sandhagen hasn't had that stamp win yet to really like sell me. Obviously, he's talented, but I think Sterling should be fighting for the title. He's looked better than ever. He showed that he can fight different based on who he's fighting. So he's got a good team around him. I think he'll do what it takes to get it done.
Yeah, it's going to be a close fight. I can't wait for that one. Really, again, could be fight of the night, depending on what happens maybe with your fight, the main event. A lot of great fights top to bottom here. Co-main event, Cody Garbrandt and your boy, Sun Tzu. Man, this one to me could be a coin flip. Garbrandt coming off 3 losses in a row, all finishes. Is he going to be back to the old Cody Garbrandt, or are we going to see a trend here and he loses again? What do you guys think?
I mean, obviously, also a lot depends on if Garbrandt is changing anything up. You never know if these guys are really making genuine changes to better themselves. It's hard. I feel like when you hit that peak so early of being the champion, you know what I mean? And then also now you're under doubt. He probably has a lot of doubt going in his head. And maybe, hopefully the doubt made him make some changes. But you never know, you know what I mean? You never know if some of these fighters have like crazy egos where they don't think it was all flukes or something like that. But I think that I'm gonna go with the Sun Tzu. Obviously, I think that he's just a little bit more well-rounded in his game, and he is very experienced, and I think that he's just a better fighter.
I'm going to the Sun Tzu too. I think until Cody shows that he's back, I know he made some changes. I think he's training with Mark Henry a little bit this camp. Anytime someone's got a fight lined up and they're already talking about dropping down divisions, I'm not saying it won't work, but that's always a red flag to me. So I think they're kind of already looking past this fight. Sun Tzu has been in there with the best. He's shown that he can beat anybody if he shows up, and so I'm going to go with the Sun Tzu for this one.
Yeah, I'm actually leaning the other way. I think Cody's going to right the train. I think he's going to get a win here and maybe move back towards title contention at some point here in the near future. A win over a Sun Tzu clearly is a marquee win. So, I know the UFC loves having Garbrandt at the top of the heap in the division. Now the main event, Amanda Nunes, Felicia Spencer. Felicia Spencer's no joke. She's a big woman. She's tough. She's durable. And I think she, in the clinch especially, she'll be able to push Nunes. But, a lot of people feel Nunes, the GOAT is going to be Ann Still. What do you think, Rocco?
No, I think that Amanda is very a superior fighter to all these women. I think that she's just better. You know what I mean? And I think that only thing that I feel like that Felicia could possibly expose is a cardio thing. So if she could push the pace enough to make Amanda work enough in these grappling exchanges that Amanda gets tired, then I can see Felicia giving her a fight. You know what I mean? But outside that, I think that Amanda destroys her on the feet. Amanda is a better grappler, and it just all would the only path I see for Felicia is to create enough exchanges in the grappling department make Amanda tired and be able to walk through her punches. You know what I mean? Because Felicia has no fear. You know, when she fights, she has no fear. It seems like she got great cardio. She can grapple, which is always could be. You never know what's exactly gonna happen there. But I think that Felicia's only path to victory is to gas Amanda. So that's why I definitely think that Amanda's a superior martial artist.
Yeah. Tyson?
Yeah, I think Nunes should win, and I said this in a couple other predictions, is Nunes should win, but I think Felicia Spencer's not going to be intimidated by her. She showed that when she fought Cyborg and Megan Anderson, that she's not scared of these big monsters. So I think she's going to get in her face as long as she doesn't get knocked out. I think she can drag her into deep waters and make it a fight, but I wouldn't be surprised if she wins a round or two and survives to a decision, but I think Amanda will have enough to get it done in the first 3 rounds, so, guarantee at least a victory by decision. But,
we all agree. We all agree on one. We're going
fine. Well, my fight too. Come on.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah. Shocker on that one, clearly.
Jeez.
Hey, are you guys going to go out and party in Vegas afterwards? Is the strip even open at this point?
Today.
But it's just the casinos, I think, right?
What else is there?
There's clubs and everything.
Oh, I'm not a big clubber. So.
No, Tyson's just, he's hard to rein in when he starts partying. You know, the guy's never had any alcohol or any drug in his entire life, but he's hard to rein in. Once he gets down, he's got the moves, man.
You've never, no alcohol, Tyson. You've never had a beer.
Never had a sip of alcohol. Never tried weed. Never had a cigarette.
Wow. Well, that's good about the cigarettes and weed. I mean, never a beer though. Oh, my goodness, that's
nothing ever. Isn't that crazy?
Wow. Well, good for you. That's impressive. A lot of people, they go down that train and it gets a little dicey. So good for you, man. Well, I'm happy to talk to you guys. Always a pleasure to have you both on the show. Best of luck on Saturday. I don't think you guys need luck. You're prepared, ready to go in there and do your thing. Before I let you go, if you want to plug your social media, the floor is yours.
At Tony Rocco Martin's my Twitter, Anthony Rocco Martin's my Instagram, and this is Tyson _ Chartier, CHARTIER. Make sure you hit that follow. Say tell him how sexy he is. What else do you want?
Hey, dad bods are in right now, so
yeah.
He's got those abs, but I'll last longer.
Well, I'm hoping they're gonna be gone by Sunday. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's gonna be your post meal meal? What are you your post victory meal? What are you gonna have?
Probably some pizza. I think some pizzas. I feel like I haven't had pizza for a while here. Tyson eats every 10 minutes, so I feel like I'm just eating through him right now.
I definitely gained that COVID-19.
You and me both, buddy. Well, listen, guys, always a pleasure again. Thank you. Best of luck this weekend, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, appreciate it. Hey, congrats again, brother.
Thank you, guys.